Hello everybody, it's the 14th of November today, and I'm going to be looking at this large twin trunk larch project that I've had ongoing for quite a number of years. It's actually a fusion project in that I bought two of these trees at reduced prices, and only when I got them home did I decide actually I think they would be quite fun if I could fuse them at the base. And it's been a number of years, and I think they finally have fused, although it's a bit like when you've glued a precious ornament and you're wondering if the glue's dry, but you don't want to pick it up and poke and prod at it in case it falls apart and you can't get it back together again. So it's a question of being patient. It went into a bonsai pot, I think it was this year, but you know, I can't for the life of me swear to that. It could have been last year. I'd have to go back and look at the video to be sure, which is a bit sad, but I guess that's a reflection on my age perhaps. Anyway, where are we at with this tree? Well, I've just allowed it to grow on, and that's why I'm thinking, I'm almost certain I'm going to have to go away and come back so that I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so a quick check shows me that it was in fact the year before, last year, 2021, that it went into this pot, so it's had 2 full seasons. It hasn't grown as much as I expected. I've done absolutely nothing to it this year. I've just allowed it to grow in the hopes of, you know, really increasing this fusion. And I hope next year, maybe, next year I'll begin to see a bit more evidence. At the moment, it's hard to tell whether they're fused or not. As I say, I still don't want to poke and prod too much. Let me give you a close-up of that join in the trunks. Hopefully that's not too grainy. Camera's not the best when you zoom right in on things. But yeah, I mean, they've got to fuse solidly at some point. They're wired together beneath the soil, so they can't go anywhere and drift apart. So if we look at it from the other side, it's hard to see under there, but yeah, they are at least beginning to look a little more natural, as if they were part of one base rather than 2 now. So I'm taking that as a good sign. I'm taking that as a win. So the plan for today is I'm going to try and clean off. It just dropped most of its needles, but most of its needles have then fallen and landed onto the branches below, where they're just sitting wet, and I don't want them to just sit wet and possibly allow for rot. I mean, they're just great big handfuls of needles. I mean, hopefully we'll get a good strong blow might to clear it away, but for now I'm just going to use this little brush just to get rid of most. I'll come back when I've done that. So that's cleared most of the canopy now, and now, well, I'm going to do some trimming. If you saw my more recent videos on Japanese maple and the liquid amber, you'll know I said I was going to leave the trimming on them until the spring, but And therefore you might be asking yourself, well, why is he going to trim his larch? Well, that's because it's a larch and they're a Japanese maple, and larches are a stronger beast, not quite as delicate as the Japanese maples, and as I suspect the liquid amber might be. So I just want to remove some of these really long pieces that, like this piece that's growing back and across the trunks. I'm going to remove that right back to there. There's actually a bud which is pointing in that direction, so I'm going to leave that, but this piece I'm going to take off. This branch and this branch I'm still undecided about keeping. On the one hand, traditionally speaking, your first branch should start a third of the way up the trunk, etc. Also the books will tell you, which would make those too low. But on the other hand, I like them, and if it doesn't offend your eye, don't pluck it out. To paraphrase, does that make sense? Let me know what you think. There's a comments box down the bottom. You can drop your thoughts in there as to whether you think I should cut them off or leave them be, or whether they actually make sense within the context of the actual design. So yeah, basically I'm just going to be trimmage back and try to leave these a little bit longer than the branches above. And I know this hasn't dropped all its needles yet, so I'm removing some that are, well, still vaguely green, but they're on the turn, as it were. And I don't think it's going to hurt any. I think the tree's done most of its pulling back the goodness from the needles that it's going to do for this year. So I'm going to speed this up because I think it's starting to rain, and so as not to bore you. Okay, so back round to the front, and here we've got a kind of a jumble where the two trees are trying to grow into one another. So I'm going to shorten some of these pieces back quite significantly. As I say, it was left untrimmed this year, and so we've had these long growths that are interfering one with the other. I'm going to cut that piece back, and that piece. Having done all the pieces that are growing straight up and straight down and backwards, I sort of turn my attention to this more congested area. Shorten that apex a little. That's better. Piece hanging down there. Still lots of needles. We need a good gust through. Okay, let's shorten that back. That's better. Eventually, I need the tree to widen at the base some more, to give more of a... I've said before, I'm not entirely happy with a triangle shape for trees. I know, again, that lots of the books talk about growing trees in a triangular shape, but the trees I see in nature, the trees grown as nature intends then, often appear to be domed rather than triangular. And so I'm trying to emulate that if I can. There's another piece there which is going straight up, another piece there going straight down. Okay, that looks a little better, a little lighter. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's set that up hopefully for next spring. I may give it a further refinement in the spring. As always, as soon as you think you've finished, you see a piece that you don't like, and you think, I need to do something with that. But that's, I guess, always the way. There's two shoots coming from the same spot there and a dead stub, so remove that. I think that'll do for this tree for today. As I say, the rain's coming down, so we will call it a day here. Though I often say to people, my channels are not really a what you should do channel, or even a how-to channel. It's more just what I've done or what I'm doing channel. I do try and help out occasionally with a little bit of things I've learned, and that is when you think you've finished pruning your tree, have a look down on it from above. So you're looking down, and that is when you will start to see much more easily a branch or two that are crossing one another. I couldn't see them from sat looking at this tree. Neither did I see this piece that's going back towards the trunk. So I'm gonna take that piece off and shorten that and that. So yeah, it's always a good idea to get a bird's eye view every once in a while and look at the branch structure. Again, here for example, where parts of this branch are almost obscuring parts of this, and I'm actually going to remove that chunk there and that piece there and that there, because that will all be shaded out as this branch fills in anyway. So there's a couple of crossing branches that again couldn't be seen when looking at the tree from the side. Quickly pop the drinks can in for scale, as I normally do, and give you a quick 360. I'm going to leave all those needles on for now. They will perhaps give it a little bit of insulation. I used to know someone who always said that a tree grows best in its own litter. I always suspected that was because he didn't like the job of raking up the leaves, but you never know, maybe he had a point. Let me know in the comments, as I say, about these two lower branches in particular. Do you think they should stay, or do you think they should go? I guess it depends on, in your mind's eye, what scale the tree's at, but yeah, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Do all the usual, the YouTube things, the liking, the subscribing, commenting, but most of all, please, 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 stay safe everybody. Look after yourselves.